The She's Crafty podcast is brought to you by Busted Sandal Brewing Company.
You can now find their 210 Ale and Slippery Rock IPA in cans throughout San Antonio, New Braunfels, and Austin.
Head over to BustedSandalBrewing.com/can locator to find a location today.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to episode 19
Welcome.
of the She Sucks at Parenting podcast.
Yes, she sucks at parenting. She doesn't care.
She does not care. We are here at Branchline Brewing Company in San Antonio, Texas, and it is one of our monthly installments with you guys.
That's right, Drunk for Teacher.
Hey, hey.
Second
We do like our
edition.
monthlies, yes.
Yes.
I like
Yes, this guy.
If you haven't listened to the other one, you guys introduce yourself. We've got, well, how about I'll be really nice? I'll introduce the shit out of them.
Thanks for being the host.
thank you.
Yeah. This is Paul Ford and Jason Ard, and they are from Branchline Brewing, and they make
That's right.
some of the best beer in San Antonio and
Hells
in
yeah.
Texas.
Oh, stop.
We make
And some of the nicest people.
we make
thank
some of the beer in San Antonio. I won't qualify it. You guys can qualify it.
I'm going to qualify it because I will not mention names of. I love all the beer here in San Antonio, but I've met people, and I'll mention some that I regularly drink, and they're like, "Oh, I don't really like that from the brewery. Have you had Branchline yet?" And I'm like,
Oh, that's cool.
That's
yeah.
good to hear. Yeah,
It's,
that's
it's
awesome.
hard when you own a business because you have no way of like telling what people think about your
Yeah,
brand.
Yeah.
And so
you
a lot
become
times,
sort of like blind to it or
yeah.
like.
Well, we
let's-
just can't. We're like, are we doing things? You can't. There's nothing to like gauge how well we're doing really,
Yeah.
other than sales.
Yeah.
So it's like, are we doing well? Are we not doing well? And
Yeah.
sometimes we feel like we're doing great. We're on top of the world. And sometimes we're
Yeah.
like very low and like how can
You can't tell.
How can this be above what we're doing
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
suicidal. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm with Barbacoa Apparel, we feel the same way.
Yeah,
Like, we
yeah.
have this one shirt that just like is so awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, I love that shirt." I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
You're like, oh,
There's some
wow.
crazy
Maybe because I
sometimes.
look at
It's
it all the
crazy.
time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, cool." And then yeah, like the same thing. Like some days we're like, "Yeah, we're doing awesome,"
Yeah.
and then other days we're like, "God, we suck so bad."
How am I still in business?
Yeah.
Well, we see kind of like we see the most positive and we see probably the most negative as well. We don't see the middle
The
ground
middle,
of what's
like
going on.
probably how it should be. Is
Yeah.
that
Well,
we're
yeah.
just coasting like,
Yeah,
like as we
exactly.
should be.
Yeah.
Because we have people that are like supporters, they're close friends or family, and they're always like if they check in on Untapped, they're like 5 stars. This is the best beer I've ever had in my life, and we're like, oh, that's nice. It's like patting them on the
that's my
back and
mom,
saying
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like thanks, thanks so
Yeah.
much. Like that's a guy I used to know when I was a kid, so thanks. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then we also see the people that like check into the beer and they're like, half star, this beer sucks.
Oh.
And it's your brother.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that would be interesting. No, and then we see occasionally we'll see like people that have opposite opinions of the same beer at almost the same time. And so this week we had somebody check into Evil Owl at a location, and they said something like, "This beer is really well balanced, great malt character, really enjoy it, best amber I've had in a long time."
Nice.
And then like literally 5 minutes later, someone checks in and said, "This amber sucks. It's got
Ooh.
way too much hops in it. I can't taste any of the malt.
You gotta laugh at that.
Tastes like
It's
an
Yeah.
IPA.
funny.
Worst
Oh,
amber I've
wow.
ever had."
Yeah.
We're like, oh.
We take screenshots and send them to each other.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Can you be this guy?
We're like, look at this
crazy.
person.
Yeah,
Look at what this person
Yeah.
said.
They take screenshots and they're like, "Are you gonna get in your car or what?" Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
follow you.
Driving down. Yeah.
Where are
It's
you
like,
going after
where
this?
did
Yeah.
you check in
Yeah.
from? Uh-huh.
Oh, you're the hobby mug?
Oh, okay, I'll see you.
Yeah, we'll be right there.
Yeah.
Stay there. Have another one.
That's funny.
Just hire like goons to go
I
out.
guess I
just
didn't
not
realize.
places.
I don't
Yeah.
use the Untapped app, but I didn't realize that you guys. Do you get it as soon as somebody?
No,
Yeah,
well, we
we check- you
like
can check
we
it.
could check it. So
Oh,
you
I
can go to
see.
like the brewery page.
I see.
And then just scroll down and see
Oh, I
all
see,
the
okay.
check-ins. And there's sometimes when we'll have like a ton of great check-ins, and it's like we're at the top of the world. And then there's sometimes when it's like, well, nobody's checked into our beer in like an entire day. I wonder if our business is failing.
Nobody's drinking it
Yeah.
anymore. Nobody in this city is drinking my.
We're like,
Yeah,
oh, what's
yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
We have no idea what's
Yeah.
going on.
It's funny too because you'll get like 5 or 6 like really awesome some reviews in one go, and I assume it's probably like a table of people all drinking the same thing,
Yeah.
like talking back and forth, like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then you get some that are like 4 or 5 that are horrible, same situation. I think everybody's just sitting at the table like,
Yeah,
oh,
they
man, this
influence
sucks.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, don't you think this is terrible? Oh, yeah, I think that.
It's like
Yeah,
12
totally.
Angry Men.
I have, I have
Beer.
like an insider question then. How do you feel about people when they oh my gosh, they check in and they say that they've drank your beer, but they don't rate it?
Oh, I don't rate beers.
Yeah, neither do
I don't
Yeah,
either.
I don't rate them. I don't mind. I don't really care so much about the star rating
Yeah.
anyways. For me, it's more the social aspect of it of like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm trying this new thing or I'm trying this thing I really like or whatever. And I don't get crazy on the star ratings.
Comments
really.
for me are more meaningful than the stars themselves.
Yeah,
So.
and locations too.
Yeah.
So
Like
if
to
somebody
know
like
you're drinking it, yeah.
if somebody checks into our beer and puts 1 star, but there's no location,
Yeah.
then that doesn't really help us at all.
Right.
We can't do anything. But if they check in and it's a 1 star and they tag a location, then maybe we can check out that location, make sure their draft lines are clean,
Yeah.
make sure the beer's being stored right. That's the kind of thing that helps us out.
Right.
But otherwise, rate it whatever you want to rate it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But 5 stars is best.
Yes, always.
That's it.
If you're going to rate it.
Yeah, that's what gets us paid.
Yeah, right.
Not really.
Yeah.
But and like Brandi said when we walked in, talking of supporters, she told me before we started recording that her husband really loves our Dark Territory oatmeal stout. And has he been into dark beers before, or is this kind of new for him?
He used to. So, I mean, he was a straight up like Miller Lite guy, I'd probably say like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then he used to enjoy Guinness because he's Irish and felt some sort of, like homeland
yeah.
connection to
Yeah.
it. And then Shiner was kind of, I always talk about it being kind of a gateway beer for us. So we started drinking Shiner, and then they came out with more beers, and he would try more, and then we started trying local stuff. So he went kind of into IPAs first.
Yeah,
It's pretty typical,
I think
I
that's
think.
pretty typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he moved into stout, and he's in total stout kick right now.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want anything to do with anything else. It's not like a dark, full-bodied beer in our fridge right now.
That I go through phases sometimes too, where I'll have like a Belgian phase where all I want to drink is like Belgian beers, and then I'll go through like a German phase and I'll want to drink a bunch of German beers, and
That's
so I think
that's
pretty
really fun
common.
because you can learn more about the style. I think if you have a bunch of the same
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
style,
Yeah.
and then you can see how different they all can be. And then that's another thing, like why I don't rate beers on Untappd, because I feel like, well, what am I rating? Like, am I rating how much I like this beer?
Yeah.
Am I rating how good this beer is in comparison to other beers? I'm like,
You're not the only person
Yeah.
who's
Oh, we
confused.
see
Yes.
people giving beer 1-star ratings, and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't like IPAs." It's like, well, then don't
Don't
rate
Yeah,
it.
then
Yeah.
don't rate it.
Or don't order
Don't
it.
rate
Like
it.
order
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah,
Don't waste your
order
money.
it. Yeah.
We see
Like,
that
so
especially
confusing.
with our Manger 32 pumpkin ale, because people will check into it and they'll give it like, oh, it's an okay pumpkin ale, but I don't really like pumpkin spice, and then they'll rate it like 2.5 stars.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's the
okay,
pumpkin.
well, that's like you're rating
what
it
it
based
is.
on what you
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
which
exactly.
is fine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but are you rating it based on the style? Are you what's the deal?
I wonder if I've never used it, but I wonder if they think that they're rating for themselves and not for like.
That's possible too, I
Yeah,
guess.
you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
That's why we can't really take it to heart one way or
Yeah.
the other. It's just a good kind of like, it's a good way to compare and contrast beers and what beers are doing
See,
better than
right,
others.
right, right.
Yeah, I wish that
Like,
I
overall.
wish it was like known with Untappd that you are rating it for yourself, because
Yeah.
they'll recommend other beers based on what you're drinking and what you like.
Yeah.
So I wish it was just kind of like, okay, this is just
for you. This is just
Right,
for
right,
you.
right,
Like,
right.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
log for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Maybe
not.
there's an app out there that we can create
Oh.
and make lots of money.
Yes. Done.
Turn it off. Shut it down.
That's how we get paid.
yeah.
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yeah.
We're all going to be millionaires.
Let's go.
Well, so speaking of beer styles and
Yeah.
checking into them and
Yeah.
stuff, did you guys do your homework for last month?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. It's your homework was go
And
drink beer.
By the way, it was fun.
Yeah,
It really
awesome.
was. Like, it was cool to like go on the website and because I've never done that before
Yeah.
and look for
Like the flavors it
the
describes
flavor
and the aromas
and
and all
like
that.
the color and
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That
And I
BJ
feel like,
website has a lot of good information.
and then you, so we always talk about like we're trying a beer and we can taste all these different flavors, but we don't have the palate yet to differentiate what we're
Yeah.
tasting.
Right.
But when you're looking at those style guidelines, you're like, oh shit, like that's what I'm tasting right now.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You
Yeah.
can pick it out. Once you know kind of what you're looking for, I think it makes it easier to
Yes.
pick it out.
Yeah.
So the homework was, for those that did not listen to the last episode, for us to pick 3 beers, go on to the BJCP website, which has a style guidelines section, and I guess see if the beers that we chose fit into the style guidelines, right?
Yeah. And like rate them based on the guidelines, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. Because some beers meet the guidelines really well, some don't, and are still really good beers.
Right.
So did you guys do the same beers, or did
So
you
we
guys
did
do
different
ones?
beers.
Cool.
Right? Yeah.
I did all the same style.
Oh, okay, cool.
I did different styles.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't think there's any wrong way to interpret
So I
beer
just went
homework.
to like, the end cap at HEB where they have like the craft single, like the single ones.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
just grabbed like
3 different.
I had one because I got one at New Braunfels Brewing Company that
Mm-hmm.
he'd given me. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll use that one because it was a sour. And then I went and picked 2 more. Yeah.
Did you guys try to pick stuff that you were unfamiliar with?
I'd picked stuff I had never had before. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
I started off with something that I was familiar with, and my plan was to do 3 different styles. And then once I did that, I wanted to see
Delve deeper into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's neat that you guys have like different approaches, I guess, and then we can kind of discuss both approaches, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
I like comparing 2 beers side by side, like in the same night, or like 1 pint right after the other. And sometimes I'll like pour them at the same time, so that way I can compare the color, and the appearance, of the bubbles and the head retention and all that kind of stuff, and then the aromas side by side and the flavor side by side. And it's really a good way to start conceptualizing and like compare and contrast different brands with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because while you may pick up 2 different Hefeweizens, you won't really know until you look at them side by side that, wow, this one's a lot darker than that one. I never noticed that before, or this one has a lot more banana than this one, and not really get that until you practice it in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
So who wants to go first?
So I'm trying to find the name of the one because I forgot my notes, but here it is. I'll start where I started at. So
Okay.
the first thing was I've always known that I like Real Ale's Devil's Backbone,
Oh, cool.
but I didn't know until I started getting into beer that was a triple.
Yeah.
So I always thought I hadn't tried triples, and then we kind of tried y'all's triples
Yeah.
last time, so I thought I'll just jump into that. That was really interesting because I never paid attention to the spices in it so much. I kind of just enjoyed the beer itself. And I had never poured it in a glass back in the day. I
Yeah.
would just drink it out of the bottle. No clue what color it was.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
always assumed it was darker than it actually is.
Yeah.
Because of like the heavy flavors, like dark, spicy kind of
Yeah.
flavors. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was super, like, when I was reading the style guidelines, it talked about it being pepper, or you can have peppery notes
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that surprised me because I don't feel like that's super common for other triples I had been tasting for it to be that spicy as Devil's Backbone was. Is that-
Well, and some are more spicy than others,
Uh-huh.
and so again, kind of going to that compare and contrast. You can find 20 of the same style and pour them all, and they may be similar to each other, but there's going to be variations in appearance. There's going to be variations in aroma
Right.
and flavor. And the yeast has a lot to do with that in a Belgian triple, because the yeast contribute a lot of those spicy character notes and the aroma as well, kind of the fruitiness that you get out of it, and the flavor. And so a lot of Belgians are kind of yeast forward. And it has to do with the region. There's not a lot of hops that grow in Belgium, and so they kind of grew up as a culture, creating beers that were a little different. And then triple in and of itself was kind of created as like a Pilsner substitute in a way, because Pilsner was the first kind of light style, and it started becoming popular around Europe. And so the monks at Westmalle, which is one of the Trappist breweries in Belgium, they crafted this kind of new style, which was a pale and yet still strong flavored Belgian ale. And so I think that's an excellent observation to see that there's more or less spice in it.
And then we did, now that I'm drinking beers in the way that I should be, we poured it into a glass so I could get some more of that flavor.
Yeah.
And then we did see the lacing
Oh,
on
cool.
the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you guys asked what lacing was last
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
when Jason mentioned it. So that's awesome.
It's interesting to see now, like, which beers will have that. I'm paying
Yeah,
attention to
yeah.
the head on the beer whenever you're pouring it.
Yeah.
And I got the cans this last time of Real Ale's Devil's Backbone, and
I haven't tried it out of the can yet.
it was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I drank 12, so,
Did you shotgun a couple of them?
time?
No, I shared a 12. Well, I think we ended up drinking like 5 each because we were painting my daughter's room, and it took a fucking
time.
long
Yeah.
time.
Hate
Painting's the worst.
I know, I hate painting.
It
I'd
always
rather-
seems like
I'd
the
rather
best
pay somebody
idea.
to do that.
I'm always like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna go paint.
Yeah.
And then I'm like a quarter into it, I'm like, this
It's
is
horrible.
the worst
You
thing
gotta
ever.
finish it at that point.
Now you have to finish it.
I had to reward myself. That was my thing.
Yeah.
I kept drinking a beer because I was like, okay, if I finish this wall, I can get another beer.
No, it's beer time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad way to go about things.
Yeah.
I've heard that drinking heavily helps you, with projects like that. No, I don't
That
think
are
it does
detailed.
actually at all. Yeah. No, I think that would
getting around
really.
those corners, being more drunk is
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you started over here really good. Over there, you got more Pablo Picasso.
Over
you
there,
know.
it's tagged with like Thug Life, like creative tag on it.
Not good.
Yeah.
Well, so you tried 3 different triples then? So
Yes.
Devil's Backbone is where you started.
That's where I started.
And then what other 2 did you try?
Then I went to Adalbert's to their Triple B,
Okay, cool.
which I felt like I could see the similarities, but such different beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you're jumping in, and that one, I didn't get as much of the spice.
Okay, I was going to
characters
ask if you
off of
got
that.
spice on it. Yeah.
I got more
sweet,
fruitiness
fruity?
and
Okay.
sweet.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, after I knew that was a triple, I kind of jumped in, but that reminded me, not just like the characters I was getting was kind of more the style of what I was trying with you guys.
Oh, yeah,
Where
yeah.
you could taste more of the fruits in it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Ours has got that kind of fruity sweetness to it. That I think Triple B is a little drier than ours from my memory. But yeah, I get what you're saying on it.
And it did have the signature lacing. It poured really pretty.
Yeah.
The clarity was really good in there.
Yeah.
I noticed that, so I was looking it up at the light and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I mean it was a really good beer. Oh, and then I make eggnog every year.
Oh, cool.
So the one thing I can usually spot in a beer is clove.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was one thing that stuck out was a clove spice.
In the
there.
Adalbert's one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another like yeast derivative. When you hear there's terms referring to, excuse me, like aroma and flavor, and typically you hear the words esters and phenols. And esters typically are more like fruity like aromas, and phenols are going to be closer to like clove. And you can get too intense in either direction too. And so a beer that's overly estery or has like negative estery attributes may have the smell of like rotten banana peels, or something like that. And it's usually done from like poor yeast management, poor yeast health. And then same thing on the phenolic side, you can have beer that's like plasticky, smoky, or Band-Aid like, and those are like negative phenols as well. But you find a Belgian beer, typically you're going to have that perfect mix of esters and phenols to give you the banana-like and clove-like characteristics.
Right.
And that's perfectly fine for that kind of stuff. German Hefeweizen is another style where you find a lot of that estery banana and clove-like flavor as well.
Yeah. Well, and I know that part of our homework wasn't to compare the beers to each other, but I feel like because I was drinking all triples, I inevitably was like, this is my favorite. This was, and the Adalberts ended up being my favorite of the 3 to try.
Cool.
Second was Real Ale. And the other one, I still enjoyed it, but not as much, was from Save the World Brewing.
Yeah.
It was their Princip, I don't know how to say it, Princip Passes?
I don't know how to say it either.
That sounds
But that
good.
sounds right.
Yeah.
I know it's Princips, and then it's Pacis.
I think they're all like Latin type words, I believe.
Yeah.
Save the World's a cool brewery, and I've tried several of their beers, but I think they go. I'm not sure. I know Adalbert's is trying to like stay within the box. I think Save the World may be going a little outside the box with a lot of their stuff. And I don't work for those guys or anything, so I have no idea. But that's just my impression of it. And it's good, good for different ways. The Save the World guys, we ended up with one of their Scotch Ale, I think it was, which is like a Belgian style Scotch Ale or something like that. It's one of the ones that I haven't had, and these assholes drank it when I wasn't at work.
What? I don't remember that.
Oh, this is like the lunch
What are you
fridge,
talking about?
right? We're like,
Yeah.
somebody ate my tuna salad.
Yeah. Oh, and we have a lot of
We have a
beer
whole
in
Put
there.
your name on there.
We have a
Yeah.
ton of beer in there,
Yeah.
and these guys picked the one bottle that I was like looking forward to trying.
That's
and I
happened to
did
me
not get
before,
try
too.
it. But hey, now that we're
Not
famous
here.
on the radio
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
here, maybe they'll send us free stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that happens
Is
to
that
us
how that
all
works?
the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the
I also
Oh, we got
beer?
taps.
Especially
Yeah.
since I said it was
Yeah.
my least favorite triple. That
Yeah, we
I'm
probably
not-
won't be getting into
I'm
that.
not saying they're sending it to
They'll
you.
send it to
Grant.
you. They'll send it to you just to prove to you that you like it.
Yes,
They'll
but
send
that was
you all of
Colby's
it.
first favorite.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
See?
interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that, and
nice.
you,
It's the
different
beauty of
people get a
beer.
different
Yeah.
impression out of
That's
it.
the
Yeah,
beauty of beer.
very, very subjective. You know,
Yes,
you can't.
exactly.
You can't. Going back to rating, like you can't rate something a 5-star today because tomorrow you may have it with a different, different meal
Yeah.
or
Yeah, and you're
different
not-
temperature and.
You're not having the same exact thing. It's not like you have 3 grilled cheese in front of you and you're picking who made it the best way. You have different ingredients.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
all of that. And so
Yeah.
they're
Different
totally,
malts, different hops.
Yeah, that's what I discovered was even though they're all the same style, they're completely different beers.
Right, yeah.
And so that's very hard to compare them. But I did get more of an alcohol taste on the Save the World.
Yeah.
Like I could taste. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, that makes
Okay,
sense. Yeah,
okay.
and then with the Belgian beer, you get sometimes something called higher alcohols, which are like very sweet and fruit-like alcohol flavors. And then sometimes you can get like a solventy alcohol like taste, like a burn or warming sensation in your chest. And that's when you know that it's good.
So
Got some alcohols in it.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
I felt that Adalbert's was, when I was reading the style guidelines and tasting, I felt like it matched up the most.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the Adalbert's Triple B is actually like an award-winning beer.
Oh,
So I
well,
think that it's true to style in
Yeah.
that aspect. And
I do
a
like.
well-made beer.
I gotta
Yeah.
say, Brandi drank all Texas beers, and I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that you were able to get 3 of one style from 3 different Texas breweries. I think that's really cool. It's like
And a unique style at that,
right.
Yeah.
It's it's not 3 different light lagers.
or IPAs or whatever.
Yeah,
right,
or
that you
IPAs.
can
Yeah,
find
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I
It
like
was
that a lot.
it was harder to find, but I know like the Save the World I heard about on the Beerist podcast. Adalbert's, I feel like they're in a lot of places, so
absolutely.
I always see
Bottles,
their
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah. They do those like corked and caged bottles too, which are really fancy.
Yeah.
They're pretty nice.
I do. I feel fucking fancy when I drink one.
Because it goes pop real loud when you pop those.
Like celebrating, like, oh man,
I
this is
feel
amazing.
fucking fancy.
I wear a fur coat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you should.
I yell at
Silk
poor people.
nightgown and then yeah.
And you're just
America.
drinking it out of the bottle saying, I deserve this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you're painting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So what did you try, Kat?
Okay, so I started with the new Braunfels Brewing Company Electra Bexotica.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how to
which
pronounce
was
that
a
either.
wheat ale.
Okay, cool.
Sour wheat ale.
Sour.
Oh, yeah.
Sour's dominant. It was strong color. It was hazy. Had dry finish, high carbonation. I noticed though that like the ABVs and the IBUs didn't always match up. Like this one had a higher IBU than it said in the guideline. I don't know if,
Yeah, and I mean that's always that's like a stylistic choice from the
Yeah.
brewer. And you can go above or below the,
Okay.
the guidelines. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
They also New Braunfels uses wheat in all of their recipes, and so every beer you get from New Braunfels is like wheat dominant.
Okay.
And I think Kelly Meyer, the owner, he told me I think they use upwards of 85% wheat in
wow.
like the majority of their beers.
wow, yeah.
I don't know if they're still doing that with all of their sour ales because now they've started really focusing on more of the sour and barrel aged kind of beers. He actually gave me 2 the other day that we've got in the walk-in. We haven't cracked
Nice.
open yet. But I think it's really interesting to see the variation now and it like
I
maturing
thought it was
as,
really
he, as he
interesting
goes on.
because
you know?
we just recorded there and they all taste they're so different. And then even
Yeah.
this one, he gave me this one to take home and it was just so different.
Yeah.
This one's really sweet though because the name is like he named it for his wife.
Oh.
Which I think is really sweet. Yeah, he's like a little love letter to her on there.
Her name's Electra?
No.
No, her name's
but
Lindsay.
That must be some kind of like, you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I was
Electra.
like, bleh.
Isn't there like a comic book character named Electra? Maybe
there?
that's
Oh,
maybe that's
maybe.
what it's all about.
Yeah. Just a little sexy cosplay.
Yeah, right.
I'm
in
going
the
to change
bedroom.
my name to Electra.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I don't want people to talk about me when I'm not there on the podcast.
Oh.
Just so you guys know, if
Okay,
that
well,
ever
we're just
happens in the
speculating.
future.
We're just speculating. We're
Don't
not,
speculate.
Oh, okay. This is
never
just
know.
made up stuff. I think I did say something about you the other day. What did I say? Oh, no, it was just that you taught us about Dunkel. That was all it was.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
It wasn't like, I bet Paul goes home and whips his wife with, no, it wasn't like that. It was not like that. It wasn't like that at all. Yeah, my boyfriend too. He's like, please don't, just stop. Stop. And I'm like, I can't help it because it feels like conversation.
Yeah.
And then
right.
I think we did talk about your boyfriend,
We did.
actually. And
Yeah,
then I met
yeah.
him at the open house, right?
But
Or
he
the
doesn't.
anniversary.
He stopped listening.
That's a good idea.
doesn't listen.
I think Colby stopped listening too. He just
Yeah, because it's just I can't.
he just
like,
downloads. I'm just like, just fucking download it though, so that we get the numbers.
There you
okay?
go.
Yeah.
You're like, click on it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care if you listen.
Yeah. Okay, so then the second one I did was the Independence Austin Amber.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's an American amber ale.
That's like a staple amber for the state.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they've Independence has been around for a long time, and so that's one of the ambers that we like look up to, you know, because our flagship is Evil Owl Amber,
Right.
And it's different enough from this beer. Ours is a little more hop forward than theirs is.
Okay.
But it's also something like if you're gonna make an amber ale, you have to go like look at the legacy of what's come before you, and
Right.
so that's
Awesome.
one of them, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
So I did right here. I wrote low hop
Yeah.
on it, and citric, and then I wrote down that it was a dark amber color, large off-white head. It was a little hazy. Yeah, mouthfeel light.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote.
It's a good solid beer. I like that one.
It is.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I hadn't
Unfiltered,
had
so
it.
that's why it has that kind of cloudiness to it.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine too. I think that adds to some of the flavors
Yeah.
as well, which
It
is
was
really
good.
good.
On the other end, that's one of my favorite beer labels.
Yeah,
I love that beer label.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Which one
funny
was it?
because I like don't want to throw the bottles away.
It's got it doesn't have amber, and then it has the city
It
of
has
Austin.
like
in-
it looks like a postcard, like one
Yeah.
of those like kind of like
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
postcards.
Go Texas.
Go
Yeah,
Texas.
Go Texas. Go Texas. So then the third one that I did was the Deschutes Mirror Pond Pale Ale.
Ooh.
Oh, it's one of my wife's favorites.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's hard for me because I don't really like a lot of floral.
Yeah, it's very floral.
Yeah, it's, like,
Very-
super floral.
Yeah, like
And-
you're smelling a bouquet.
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
just like it
Yeah.
doesn't taste
Yeah.
good to me.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I noted that it was very floral, and that it had a gold deep color, large off-white head, light mouthfeel, bitterness in the front.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't like all that floral like.
It's like
It's
spraying
kind of
perfume
in-
in your mouth.
Yeah, I don't like
It's
that.
kind of in contrast to like something like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which is more like that citrusy kind of grapefruit
Yeah.
type of thing. But it, you know, the same thing. You're going to find variations between breweries on what they like. And for somebody like Deschutes, I think they make multiple pale ales.
Okay.
And so they may
They're a
even
little different.
between one pale ale and another, they're going to have variations.
Yeah, Red Chair I think is theirs also, and it's
They call it like a Northwest Pale Ale.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a little more
Very citrusy.
on the citrusy
Yeah,
side of things
yeah.
versus the floral side of things
Right.
with Mirror Pond. And that has to do a lot of times with the hops that the brewer puts in there. And then I'm not familiar with the hops that they use in that one,
Mm-hmm.
but different hop varietals will give you like different characteristics
Okay.
in the finished beer. For both flavor and aroma, depending on when you put them in the boil, you know, or if you dry hop with them. And so some hops you get a lot of like tropical fruits and more of the kind of exotic type flavors and aromas. Some you get these real earthy kind of aromas and flavors. Some you get citrus, you know, some you get like we actually used a hop now in the Visitor West Coast IPA that smells and tastes almost like peach. It's like really
Ooh.
interesting hop, and you get that out of some other hops as well.
I feel like I just had a peach IPA at does Stone do one or
It's possible.
I just
That makes a
It's
ton of
definitely-
beers.
I
Yeah.
just had
Definitely
one at
possible.
Big Hops at their new location off Bitters. It's gonna drive me crazy now, but I'm gonna find out what that was. And I'll put
Okay,
it in
cool.
the notes. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys got a chance to try
it's
different
cool.
things.
It was fun.
I like you guys to have different approaches to it too, because you know it's not specific enough that you have to do it one way or another.
Yeah.
And I hope people that listen kind of take it to heart and do the same thing. You know.
Yeah.
And really, all I want you to do is just try new things.
Not only
that's the
that,
whole
but like
point.
it made me more aware. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
been so many times when like I'll drink a beer and I'll be like, God, this tastes so floral, but
Yeah.
is it just me? Like
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
And then I read it and I was like, no, that's what it
That's
tastes
what
like.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the BJCP style guidelines are a good. It's almost like the highway. Like most people are going to travel on the highway, but some people get way off the highway.
Yeah.
And some people are just barely off the highway, like on the frontage road.
Okay.
And all of that is fine. You know, there's no set definition to what beer has to be or what it has to taste like. And so while you
Other
know
than it
for
being drinkable.
Well,
It's got to
yeah.
be drinkable.
True that.
Yeah, I mean, and you may enjoy some beers more than others, or whatever else. But you look at something like the new Braunfels, as a sour wheat ale. Well, some people may approach that thinking it's a wheat ale, like a half or a wit beer, or a blonde ale with wheat, and they taste it and they're like, wow, this is totally different. And it kind of challenges your assumptions about styles of beer, and it helps to kind of get you out of your comfort zone. And really the point, though, is to learn what you like and learn to appreciate the things that you don't like, even if you don't drink them all the time.
This definitely made me more confident in when I do think I'm tasting something.
Yeah.
Even not looking at the guidelines, I feel like this process helped expand our palate a little bit.
Yeah,
It just
so.
made me more aware. Like
Yeah.
more, yeah.
And then you have that resource, too, that if you are drinking a beer and you're like, this has something in it, but I don't really know what it is. You can get online and look, be like, oh, it's
probably
whatever,
that.
ginger or whatever.
And that helps to train your memory as well. It's the same thing as like athletes call it muscle memory. Same kind of thing with beer. It's the opposite of muscles, though. I don't know what it is.
Other beer athletes.
Drinking
The opposite of muscles.
lethargic memory or
Fat
something.
rolls or
Yeah, fat muffin top
memory.
energy
Yeah.
or something. That's what I got. That's what I have.
Delicious.
Muffins sound really
Yeah,
good.
that sounds really good.
But you get into this kind of mode where, especially if you approach things the same way every time, your mind goes into like this tasting mode. It's it's like a muscle memory. And then when you get into tasting mode, and we do it here, where we kind of like we'll feel like we're in the zone, like, oh man, like I'm feeling it. And then sometimes you just want to pound some beers and you're not in that zone.
Yeah.
And both are totally fine. I think it only becomes a problem when you can't get out of one or the other. If you can only pound beers and you can't taste them, then that's probably an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can only, tear beers apart, then that's probably an issue as well.
Right.
You got to have a happy
Balance.
medium between the two.
True that.
True that.
And it is Shotgun Friday, so.
It is.
Shotgun Friday.
And we have cans.
You're in the right place for kids.
We got cans. We got cans all over the place.
Hey, I take issue with that.
Oh.
We call them breasts.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
sorry.
Brady doesn't like aluminum.
You're a bottle girl? I don't know. What are you?
Yeah, I don't know why she got offended.
That's awesome.
Expecting that.
I forget. I don't mind
Well,
cans.
if it's cool, let's take a short sponsor break
do
and
it.
let's come back so that we can get our homework from Paul.
Perfect.
All right.
Is this a frat party?
Yeah, my sister invited us. She said there'd be good beer.
Okay, well, let's check it out.
Ooh, check out that guy.
Damn. Hey, hot balls. Nice can.
I'm more than just my beer.
Hey, how about you bring your beer and more than just your beer over here and share?
Oh, wow. He's actually coming over here.
Is that Busted Sandal 2&0 ale?
Hell yeah. And their Slippery Rock IPA.
I didn't appreciate your objectification of my cans and my hot body.
It was definitely just your cans.
You brought Busted Sandal beer. It was totally your can.
To find out where you can find Busted Sandal cans in San Antonio, New Braunfels, and Austin, head over to bustedsandalbrewing.com/can locator.
And don't forget, you can also find all their other beers on draft in San Antonio, Houston, and the Rio Grande Valley. BustedSandalBrewing.com.
It's time for Beer News.
Hey there, folks. Time for your brew news with the Brew Dude. We have a few topics to go over, so let's just jump right into it. Craftbeer.com just put out their entire list of the best craft beer bar in every state. The big winner here in Texas was the Brass Tap. That's in Round Rock, Texas. I personally have not been there, but it looks awesome, so I need to make a road trip soon. Who wants to go? Next up, there's a spa that's up in Oregon called Hop in the Spa. A little play on words for hops. They are now providing all of the traditional types of treatments that you get at every single spa, like the skin treatment, the massage, the bath, the happy ending. What up? Except now all of their ingredients include beer. So, for instance, I can take a beer bath, which I really want to do. That might be the only spa that I ever agreed to actually go to. And lastly, of course, we have a story about AB InBev. Looks like they just announced that they're going to open up a 10,000 square foot pub in the downtown area of San Diego. As you can imagine, the people in San Diego hate that idea, and that has not been a very pleasant experience. So, that's your 3 topics for today. That's your Brewed News with the Brewed Dude. Once again, my name is Ryan Mater. You can find me at thebreweddude.com. Back to you, ladies. Cheers to the beers. Boom.
I mean, I would assume that
you can use
put real bacon
maple,
in it.
right?
I've used real bacon in beer before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what kind of bacon beer did you make?
Made like an applewood smoked, like citrus, orangey beer type of thing. It was okay. It was good.
Really?
I liked it. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. You could do peanut butter beers with real peanut butter in it. I haven't done one of those yet. I did a s'mores beer when I was at Five Stones that I really liked. It was I used marshmallow and real chocolate and real graham crackers in it. And it tasted like motherfucking s'mores. I gotta tell you, it was really good.
Are there peanut butter beers out there right now?
Yeah, actually, Infamous has a peanut butter beer
For
that you
our
can find.
tag along recipe.
yeah.
They have it in a bomber.
Yeah.
We're trying to make like
Oh yeah,
some.
sweep the leg. Yeah,
we had
it's-
this idea to make some beer cocktails that were like taste like Girl Scout cookies.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
We're gonna release 5 a.m. to midnight is our like mint chocolate coffee beer, and that'd be like a good thin mint one.
Yeah, perfect thin mint.
Yeah.
I think we have some bottles of it. They're from last year's release, but you guys could take a couple bottles and play around with it.
Perfect.
Yeah, just remind me. I might be too inebriated at the end of this to remember.
Well, because we
I
figured
doubt it.
we were.
Unless we're getting
It's
bigger
just him.
glasses.
It's just him.
Yeah, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, these are not for you.
We kept seeing that everybody's doing these pairings, right? Like beer and Girl Scout
Girl
cookie
Scout
pairings.
And we're like, let's just put it. Let's just cut out the cookie.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
flipped it on its head. It was kind of neat.
Yeah.
All right, so which way am I serving these? To your left. So everybody's left is going to be O.
Oh. To the left.
This is a very visual process, so I'm sure everybody listening right now is checking out.
Yeah.
I'll have to cut out that.
Paul is pouring.
He's pouring beer for us.
Can we get like
pouring
golf?
the
It's like a golf
Yeah,
commentary. This
Yeah.
is awesome.
He's picking up the second pitcher now. The tiniest little pitchers I've ever seen.
Yes. It's a nice pour.
These are 32-ounce pitchers.
Oh, that one has a
small.
larger head, I'm seeing, than the other beer.
Hands are a little bit more shaky.
Oh, that's going to go
getting
against
nervous
Jim.
The precision's not as good as it was on the first pour. I
Oh,
would say.
wow. Yeah, I think he's really letting us down. Yeah.
Let's do that wrist surgery he had last.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Hate you people.
It's been a long recovery. It's been a long. Here comes Q.
Here comes the, oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh. Right in there.
Oh, it's getting very close. Oh, is it going to go over?
It's like when Catherine pours herself
No.
any kind of carbonated beverage.
Straight down the middle.
I feel like the heads are small to largest on Catherine's. I'm looking on Catherine's. They are.
Oh.
And maybe because the first one was poured first, so the heads dissipated
Well,
a
and
little bit.
I like that.
well, that
I like
would
that you
make
guys have
sense.
first gone to the appearance. A lot of people will immediately go and like pound down a shot of beer,
Right.
and then say like, "Oh, that was okay" or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like that you guys started by how does it look, because that's really the first step in evaluating a beer is how does it look. So look at the head. Look at the clarity of the beer. Look at how carbonated it is. You can sometimes tell while you're pouring it. How much of that is coming through. And take a look at the color and all of that as
This
well.
one on the right has like this super bright white head.
Yeah.
So that's Q, right?
Yeah, that was cute.
That's sticking around too. It's not.
And we,
Yeah,
sticking like the
yeah.
other.
So I did these in order so that I poured them from left to right for you guys, and we're going to sample them from left to right.
Okay.
And we're doing it as like a blind tasting.
Okay.
And this is not only a blind tasting of what beers they are, but it's also a blind tasting of what country they're from or region they're from, because these are all styles from a particular region. And so, do you need
Have
me
you
to
ever
like
done
flicking
a-
off in the background?
Yeah.
Have you ever done
I
a
would
blind
prefer it.
tasting with an actual blind person?
No.
Would you
but I
be
think they'd
allowed
be
to call
really
it a
good
blind
at it.
Really
tasting?
good at because their senses are so much more enhanced.
But
That's
would
what
you,
I would think,
Would you
yeah.
feel weird calling it a blind tasting? Like if there's a
Oh,
blind
you mean
person
like would
at
it
the
be
table,
politically correct?
just be
to
like,
have
"This is a blind
with the
tasting."
blind-
That
No, you'd be like, this is a blind tasting, but this individual is visually impaired.
this
Oh,
is
there
a
you
visually
go.
impaired
Paired
tasting.
tasting, yeah.
There we go.
Maybe like,
That's
do
a
I
long
have
walk.
to taste it with my eyes closed? I don't
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I'm not sure how this works. Like, this is way too politically correct. So yeah, let's grab the very first one. The one on your far left.
Left. Okay.
Yeah, the left.
Got it.
And I deliberately picked beers that all have a very similar appearance, and so you really can't tell looking at them what the different beers are going to be like.
It smells fruity.
Super fruity smell.
Like kind of
That's
apple.
exactly. Yep, that's exactly what you're looking for in this style of beer. You guys hit it right on the head. Kind of like apples and pears and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I was going to say pears. It's like.
And I let these, you guys saw me bring them in like right as we started recording, because if you sit them out for a little bit, so they're not warm, but they're not, freezing cold.
Yes.
You get more of an impression of the aroma and the flavor.
I feel like it has like a bitter or like a strong flavor in the beginning, and then it kind of dissipates and is more mild at the end.
Yeah. What's the correct term for like saying that it's skunky in a good way? Or do
I
you
don't
just
know.
say skunky?
Skunky in a good way, maybe sounds right. So, skunky is like a very particular type of off flavor in beer.
Yeah.
And so,
Am I off on that? Probably.
maybe.
Yeah.
Because skunky is by definition that's going to be a beer getting light struck, and so it like smells and tastes like skunk. It's very unpleasant. And so what you're probably tasting is more that hop character.
Yeah.
Because I know what the beer is.
Right.
I'm telling you that hop character you're tasting, I call it like a funky hop character.
Yeah.
And I get that out of some beers from this area of the world.
That's what I said. I said funky.
I think you said skunky.
No.
It was funky.
No. I said.
Actually,
this is
you guys don't know
recorded.
that she has a small speech impediment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't talk about it a lot.
sorry.
Yeah, I'll be like, spunk you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty spunked up. Cool. So we've got that one.
Earthy kind of.
Yeah, a little earthy. I get kind of that. It's like have you ever like chewed on like clover? How it's got like that sweetness, but also that kind of that earthy kind of funkiness to it as well. That's
Like,
kind of
to
what
me,
I get out of this.
It's kind of like a more serious apple-y juice.
Yeah.
Like that's how it tastes to me.
Yeah, super like it's almost like has a juice.
Like, yeah.
It's
Like real drinkable,
Yeah.
real easy to drink.
Yes.
It's got some sweetness to
Yes.
it, so it makes it kind of easy to drink. And then, but the finish is not overly sweet. You notice the finish is very balanced.
Yeah.
Is
And
this a
there's
lower ABV then?
A little lower ABV,
Yeah?
for this style. Jason doesn't know what we're drinking either. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Do you? Would you make a guess on what it is yet, or not yet? We can get into the other ones before you guess. Maybe a region first, and then we can get into
I know the region,
styles.
so I don't want to.
Oh, you do know the region?
Yeah, you told me the region. So
I wrote it on the fucking paper.
I have no idea how to decipher like what region.
Are we talking about regions of the world or the United? Oh.
No, like where kind of region the styles come from.
I don't know.
If it's not American, I feel like a lot of people try to mimic this in American beers.
I would say that's absolutely true.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
good. That's good to pick that up. A lot of American blonde ales are actually based on this style of beer.
Oh.
I think you can tell what region it's from a lot from the hops that grow in that region too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And hops are very characteristic, by different categories. So you have like earthy hops in one category, or very like fruity hops in another category.
Right.
So and those can kind of dictate where the beer is from also.
I'm just going to jump out there and say Nigeria. Is that not?
You are correct.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
Well, damn it! I thought I was smart.
I think we all know that those Nigerian breweries are really
there. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
They know what
over
they're
there.
doing.
We actually had a beer from Tajikistan the other day.
Really?
Oh, wow.
My brother went to Tajikistan. He's in the army.
Yeah.
And so he went there to do like some training with them, and he brought me some Tajiki beer. And we tried it. It was in like a big. I'll show you a picture of it later. It's in like a big plastic
bottle.
like Pepsi bottle.
Yeah.
It was like a quart of beer, and we all shared it. And we were like, wow, well, it's okay. Like, kind of tasted like Amstel Light or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was okay. It wasn't awful. And then my brother said that. He's like, well, they're in a part of a warehouse that doesn't have power for 9 months out of the year, so I think they do okay. And I'm like, well, shit, yeah, they do okay for that.
I mean, it's beer.
Yeah,
It's pretty good. It was like a lightish European lager type of thing. It was not bad. It was really interesting.
I feel like my preconceived notions would be for that to be like super perfumey of a beer, and I think that's just because are the guys from Tajiki that like sell the oils?
Oh yeah. And he brought me.
I don't know what specific region they're native to. I don't know.
He brought me Turkish Delight as well.
I was definitely kidding.
So he brought me Turkish Delight, which is like a weird candy thing from that was from Istanbul, and that shit was like perfume. It was like eating perfume. It was so perfumey.
Paul's like, eat it with the beer. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's like, eat it with the beer. Like, no,
let's do a pairing.
It's like those soaps that are like shaped like clams and that are pink.
You guys are
like
brave, because I feel like anything coming to me in non-commercial packaging from another country, I'd be like, oh hell no, I'm not taking that.
It was not in English. It was in Arabic. It was very I ate a couple of them. They were okay. They're at home now. I was gonna feed them to my kids and see if
no. See what happens.
They're like covered in powdered sugar.
Are they?
Weird.
And the sugar even tastes different. It's not like as sugary as our sugar.
Paul said, "Oh, this has crickets in it or something." It
I bet it does.
I'm like, I guarantee you, there's bugs in this.
Like cow hooves or something.
All right, so you guys want to try the second one here?
Yeah.
The second one is a stark contrast, I feel, to the first one.
Is there still some fruit on that I'm smelling? No, or is that?
I think once you taste it, you'll kind of get what you're smelling.
Oh, it's a sour.
Oh, yeah.
Lemonade.
Oh wow.
Yeah, very like lemony. You know,
super tart.
Mm-hmm. So you're probably getting that apple smells, the sourness of it.
Yeah. Kind of, and I feel like the taste on this and the finish is kind of chalky, you know, a little bit, very dry, much drier than the previous one that we just tried.
I like this one. It's not as like doesn't hit you over the head with
But I feel like it has it's more full of flavor than the first one.
There's a couple Texas breweries that are making this similar style of beer.
Yeah?
I know this one.
Yeah, you could tell because it's the only like style of this
in that
type.
region. Yeah,
one of two.
Yeah,
they're just like, if you're not a fucking idiot, you know what this is.
Come on, guys, come on.
I know that. Well, you put something else in front of me and like
people are screaming.
Let's go to
at
Hard
their
Bodies,
computers
Jason
right
and Paul, and I'll tell you which one it is.
They definitely are screaming at their computers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go to Hard Bodies. I mean, that's not. I mean, if it's cool with you, are you cool?
Or they have a good taco truck there.
Oh my God, it's the best. That don't even get me started with the taco truck, and you can stand in line with the dancers. That's the part. Like,
what's funny is
that's not even sexy. It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
I was with Derrick and we drove by Hard Bodies because we were over in that area. And I made a joke like, oh, we could pop into Hard Bodies for lunch. And he's like, dude, the taco truck there is awesome.
It's so good.
And
they
I
give
had no
you
idea.
a bowl of baracho beans.
I was like, how the fuck do you know that the taco truck at Hard Bodies is good, man?
Yeah,
like,
because it's good. It's good. You wait in line for an hour for those.
Yeah, the taco truck stands alone.
It stands alone.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Actually, it's funny because I take my kids. My kids go to school right there. And so I drive down St. Mary's every morning. And on Friday mornings, because Thursday night's a big night for the strip, people are still like they're
eating tacos.
They're cleaning up after the night.
The question is, do you drop the kids off at school before you go get the tacos, or do you wait in line?
Otherwise
Oh, they don't do breakfast tacos in the morning?
No.
They're missing out.
Yeah, that'd be smart. That's a new channel of revenue that they need to take advantage of. So you guys like the second one?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that it's more one-dimensional than the first beer because of that sourness. Because it doesn't have like, oh man, I'm getting a ton of fruit and I'm getting a lot of sweetness, I'm getting earthiness like the first one was.
Yeah.
But the second one is very clean, you know,
It
a
is.
little sour,
Yeah.
real easy to drink.
I see what you mean. There's more of a mix of flavors on that first one.
Yeah.
Like things that are working together than this one is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you're right.
You guys were on the first one had a lot to say about the first one.
Yes.
You know, it's like, I get
I think
apples or
this
pears.
one I only
or,
really
Yeah.
taste the sour.
Yeah, right.
And it's not overly sour, though.
No, it's
like,
not.
It's
It's
very
not.
balanced,
It's-
you know,
yeah,
sour
yeah.
character. Cool. You guys ready for the third one?
Yeah.
The third one's a nice contrast as well. They all look the same,
They
though,
all
don't they?
look so much alike.
Oh man, this one smells awesome.
I can't smell it for some reason.
I know. I was just thinking
It's
that.
pretty mild. I should have done the sour last. But that's
No, I did it this way on purpose,
Yeah?
Jason. Shut up.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Is that's spicier, right? Like
Yep, definitely
I
spicier.
think the body's heavier on it.
Heavier body, yeah. And then to me, way more bitterness in this one than the other two. Like it coats your mouth with the bitterness.
I like this one. If I was going to like buy a beer, I would buy this one.
Yeah. I think this one's it's definitely fuller bodied.
Yeah. Yeah.
Particularly more full bodied than the middle one, the sour one that
Yeah.
we tried. But I think it's more full bodied than the first one we tried as well.
Like coats the tongue and kind of like heavy on it, heavy on the tongue.
A lot of lacing.
But still
But
drinkable.
yeah, more bitter.
Yeah, a lot of lacing.
More
A
bitter.
lot more bitter.
Yeah.
couple sips in, I get more and more bitterness. It like builds on it.
Mm-hmm. Is that...
I'd say what I think it is.
Lacing is you get more lacing typically when there's more hops in beer.
Okay.
So that's like a visual indicator that there's more hops. Because hops contribute to head retention and lacing. It's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the peanut butter in certain beers, kills some of the lacing regardless of how much hops are in there. Your head and your lacing is also affected by the malts that are used.
Interesting.
And I feel like there's more like little things in my beer.
I have a shitload of lacing.
In this one?
Yeah.
Oh.
I got a little lacing party.
A lacing party.
You do.
Look at that.
Yeah, you do. Yours looks really good.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah.
I try to drink out of the same side of the glass every time so I can get like an impression of the lacing as it goes down.
This is cool too.
Sometimes you get like this phenomenal, you
can tell like where you drank.
Yeah.
There's like a line. You're like, I was really thirsty, so my
Had a
gulping.
big gulp on that
my
one.
gulp from one to the next.
So Jason has like lines of the lacing on his tasting glass. That's really
Jason
cool.
had a guess as to what style it was.
I think it's Pilsner because it's hoppy, like a hoppier, lighter.
So do you guys know if he's right on the Pilsner, what region we might be looking at?
I have no idea.
Oh, Pilsner, is that German? No?
German.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now Pilsner was originally from the Czech Republic, which is
shout
it's
out.
like right there.
Yeah.
It's like right there.
I'm a Jansky.
And
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
they do
That's
Czech
cool.
Pilsners that are less bitter, correct?
Yeah, Czech Pilsners. So nowadays, Pilsner is a style, and he's right, this is a Pilsner. It's a German Pilsner. Pilsner as a style was developed or released in the Czech Republic in 1842, developed by a guy named Josef Groll, who was a Bavarian that actually traveled with lager yeast to the Czech Republic to a city called Pilsen in the Czech Republic in order to develop this pale hoppy beer, which was in contrast to a lot of the beers at that time were darker beers. And so they released this pale hoppy beer, and then it kind of became this phenomenon over the centuries now. And so the German Pilsners now are typically drier than their Czech cousins, I guess you could say now. And the dryness contributes to the bitterness. So usually you feel more bitterness out of a German Pilsner than out of a Czech Pilsner. But the two beers are stylistically very similar. If you tasted them side by side, and you knew some of those points about it, then you'd probably be able to pick out, hey, this one's sweeter than this one, so this is probably a Czech Pilsner versus this one. That's a good way to look at it. So the region that we looked at today was German. So this was kind of an ad hoc, like German styles class.
Okay.
And the three styles that we tasted, I did them in this order because I felt like the first one was very complex, but finished very mild, like Brandi put it, and didn't have like a lot of bitterness to it. It was very balanced. The second one, of course, was sour, and so it was just a completely different thing. And then the third one is like a bitter beer from that region, which frankly I think a lot of people don't really understand that Pilsner is a bitter beer.
Yeah.
Pilsner, you may look at Pilsner as like the IPA of Germany, know, because it's the most bitter style that comes out of that region. So the first one you guys tried was a Kolsch. And so you guys hit the nail on the head when you said, I feel like a lot of American styles kind of copy this. And a lot of times American blonde ales are Kolsch based. Then the second one you guys tried was a Berliner Weiss.
Oh, okay.
So like the Texas ones would be like Yo Soy.
Yeah, the free tail. That's what I was gonna say.
Or Red Bud by Independence.
Yeah.
That's
I kept smelling it because the Friedel Berliner is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But it sort of has like a vomity smell to it.
Yes. They absolutely can have that also.
And I didn't smell it in here.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is not the Friedel because it doesn't have that smell. That
You get the sourness comes from the type of souring bacteria that's used, and usually a Berliner Weiss use a bacteria called lactobacillus, which is a lactic acid producing bacteria, and so as it consumes sugars, it creates lactic acid, which is sour. It lowers the pH, makes it taste sour, and then it gives you that kind of smell as well. It's the same type of bacteria that's in yogurt, and so if you look at sours, you usually get kind of either like acetic acid or lactic acid. And there's a bunch of other kinds too, some that are more unpleasant than others. But if you get acetic acid, that's going to be more vinegary, kind of like our Old 300. Lots of acetic acid in it. A lot of the Flanders style, like that one is, are going to be more acetic. And then something like a Berliner Weiss, you get more lactic, which is cleaner, a little more sour,
Right.
but not vinegary at all. The first one, Kolsch, also you guys hit the nail on the head with like the fruitiness of the Kolsch, because you get a lot of fruit notes out of it because of the yeast. It uses basically like a special yeast in order to give you that impression.
Is it considered like a hybrid yeast? Or?
Yeah, it's a hybrid yeast, and it's usually brewed at like an ale yeast at lager temperatures, type of thing.
I'm really fascinated by the idea that things that aren't fruit can mimic fruit in like the brew. Like, it's fascinating to me.
Same thing with, we have a guy who came in a little earlier today that's a friend of ours, and he said, do you guys put coffee in Dark Territory, which is the oatmeal stout that we have? And I told him last night, I said, no, there's no coffee in there. And then he came in today and asked me all directly.
He asked me, because I guess he didn't believe Jason or something.
Jeff, there's no coffee in there, I promise.
Yeah.
I gave him a malt lesson. I brought him over to like where we store our malt, and I told him how it's made, and we can do that with you guys at a future podcast. Told him how it's made, and I pulled out the different like bins of them that we have, and he was able to like taste them and get an impression of them. And when I pulled out the roasted barley, which is what we use in Dark Territory as a stout, and I opened the bin, he's like, oh wow, because it's black, like the malt is black compared to the standard malts that I was showing him first were all like a pale kind of yellowish, tan color. And he's like, oh, okay, I get it now. And he tasted it, he's like, okay, now that makes sense, because the malt itself tastes like coffee. So you can get, because we're limited, if we were all telepathic, we could probably do better at describing things, but we're limited in our language and our scope of how we can describe things. Eskimos probably describe beer with like 30 different names for the hops. Isn't that did that joke just totally fail on you guys? You guys don't know that?
No, I'm not versed on Eskimo.
I was thinking Eskimo kisses, but I don't know. I don't think that had anything to do with anything.
He was looking right at me when he said that.
I'm like, are we getting closer?
This is where we put in that real soft music.
So very cool. Did you guys enjoy those?
I did.
Which one did you like the best out of the three? Because they're incomparable, but you can compare them as well.
I really loved all of them. Like, it's funny because I actually like this one better after finishing this one, the sour one, because I feel like it tastes a little sweeter than it did.
I like the Pilsner the best out of these.
Pilsner was my favorite as well.
I think I like the Kolsch out of the three. I think I lean toward that. I actually printed out some stuff I'll give to you guys on which one, so you can use it, in whatever you want to use it for. So the first one, the Kolsch we tried, is called Reissdorf Kolsch. Now the word Kolsch is actually an appellate word, meaning that you can only use it if it's brewed in that region. And so there's a city in Germany called Cologne, which you've probably heard of, which is Kolsch or Köln, right? So if it's a Kolsch beer, it has to be brewed there. And that's according to the German government. You can't use that word Kolsch unless you're in that region.
Wow.
And then same thing, the Germans take their beer very seriously. I don't know if you guys knew this. The same thing with the second one that I'm giving you, which is Berliner Weiss. You can only be called a Berliner Weiss if you're in Berlin. And there's very few actual Berlin breweries still brewing Berliner Weiss. It used to be an incredibly popular style. It's actually known as the Champagne of the North. That was named by Napoleon Bonaparte.
Not the champagne of beers. That's another
thing. No, not the champagne of beers.
Yeah.
That shit's different.
Yeah.
What's the I don't know what the champagne. What's the champagne?
That's Miller High Life.
Is it?
Yeah. Miller High Life is the champagne of beers.
Yeah.
That's why you get all fancy. Drink some Miller High Life.
Marketing at its finest. I think.
You're like, because I paid $12 a 12-pack instead of $11 a 12-pack.
Oh, yeah.
So Berliner Weiss is called the Champagne of the North because as Napoleon Bonaparte was marching across Europe, destroying things, when they stopped in Berlin, they had this champagne-like, highly carbonated, pale wheat sour ale that they loved, that him and his troops loved, and so they called it the Champagne of the North. And so this is a Berliner Weiss style, or Berliner style Weiss. You can see it's written both ways. It's not brewed in Berlin, but it is brewed in Germany. So, and it's the 1809 Berliner Weiss by Dr. Fritz Brehm.
Nice.
And they make a lot of interesting beers as well. You can find that. The third one that I gave you guys is actually the oldest continuously operating brewery in the entire world. The brewery is Weihenstephaner, and this is their Pilsner. And this is their information as well. But Weihenstephaner's been operating since I think the year like 1008 or something like that. And they have actual like continuous brewing records going back over 1,000 years.
Amazing. Look
And
at
so
that label.
really cool brewery. Yeah, very classic, awesome label. And that stuff stands out. And if you're looking for really great examples of certain styles, I personally really lean toward this brewery. They make some excellent stuff. So take a look at those. Nice. This may help you with your homework.
Heck yeah.
Okay, we're ready.
Homework.
We're ready.
Dun, dun, dun,
So
dun, dun, dun,
we're going to do similar homework to what we did last month. It seems you guys really enjoyed it. And but I'm going to put like a challenging twist on it. Yeah, we're recording this again, Kat. You don't
I'm
have
going to write it down anyway.
It's like, I don't listen to my own podcast.
I'll take a picture of your notes.
So for this month, what I'd like you guys to do is I'd like you guys to do the same thing, do 3 beers, but I'd like you guys to do 3 German beers or German-style beers.
Okay.
So they don't have to be brewed in Germany, but they need to be that style.
Okay.
So an example would be
Will I get extra credit if they are brewed in Germany?
No.
Okay.
You get no credit for any of this.
All right.
Tough teacher.
Trying to cheat.
All right. Well,
Quit cheating.
I'm just asking the right question.
That's right,
Okay,
that's right.
fine.
Brandy, you're the teacher's pet, just so you know.
Because she cusses less. Is that why?
No, that's because I did my fucking homework.
First of all, you did your homework 4 weeks early. That was stupid.
I started it early.
Cat's like, I drank mine in the parking lot before we did it.
I did it yesterday.
It's like, I'm drunk right now.
I did it yesterday.
That's awesome.
I did it at 10 a.m. yesterday. My kids were.
That's okay. It's fresh in your mind.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But so I want you to pick beers. An example I was saying was a brewery like Live Oak out of Austin. Okay. They make many German styles of beer. The reason why I chose this, by the way, is because you guys enjoyed that Rausch beer so much from last time that I thought that you could use some expanding in this region. I had some beers laying around, so we threw this together for you. So I think it's great to start there in Europe because. A lot of people look now as Pilsners as being, American light lagers as a Pilsner. So people say, I don't like Pilsners. It's because they don't like Miller Lite or they don't like whatever.
Right.
But in reality, that style has evolved to the point where Bud Light is not a Pilsner anymore. Budweiser is not a Pilsner anymore. They may talk about that. It's an American lager or American light lager. And so look at a real Pilsner like this, and you get a way different impression out of the beer than you would otherwise. So the homework's going to involve 3 German beers or 3 German styles of beer. Do the same thing and evaluate it. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write a sentence in German for each of the 3 beers that you try. So I'd like you to have a German review, so to speak.
I can do that. I'm Mexican, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
My sister lived in Germany for about 5 years, and her
You might have to call it.
husband grew up. Oh, damn it! I'm gonna have to call my sister. She doesn't even listen to this podcast.
Just call your uncle Google.
Maybe she'll listen to the next one.
Yeah, Google. I heard the internet helps.
Yeah, the internet will help.
Yeah, you can totally do it. But yeah, just a sentence in German, and this is mostly for people that speak German that listen to your
We're gonna have
podcast.
to get pop filters
They're
before then.
totally gonna have
be
to
a lot of
laugh at you.
spitting.
I saw a comic yesterday, and it was a German on Twitter, and he said 140 characters. That's barely 2 words.
That's awesome.
But yeah, just a sentence in German. It doesn't have to be super complicated, but something that you can enjoy reviewing the beer about.
Cool. I like that homework. I like that a lot.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear it. Because I don't speak German.
Yeah, me either.
We'll see.
It'll sound very unique, I'm sure.
It'll just be Tex-Mex.
Yeah. I'm like, are you sure that's
Hola,
German?
¿cómo estás, amigos?
Es una cerveza.
Kielbasa.
No muy mal.
It's perfect timing because now I have to go do some beer brewing.
Nice. Do your
And
job,
so
man.
You guys are trading up. You're going to get Derrick in here instead
Very
of me.
cool.
I'm going to go make sure that he actually did his damn job.
Yeah.
I think he did.
Not likely.
I think he did. But yeah, I'm going to go brew Silver and Black IPA.
Nice.
And the boil is just coming to a head. So
I love
I'll
it.
talk with you guys in a little
Thank
bit.
you, Paul.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you.
All All right, so Catherine, super exciting. We get a new review on iTunes.
I know. And anybody can go and review us on iTunes, by the way. All you have to do is go onto your iTunes account, go to the She's Crafty podcast, and leave us some stars and a little, like, one sentence.
I know. It was really cool. It's fun to wake up to.
Yeah.
This one was from T Says. And it says, beer and sassy ladies, what could go wrong? 5 stars. These ladies are amazing, funny, and once in a while, they also talk about how full beer feels in their mouth.
That's what we do.
You don't want to miss it, really. Love it, ladies. Keep up the sassy.
Thank you.
And I actually did a little homework, and I found out who this was from.
Stalking?
Yeah,
I know.
Homework, stalking, kind of the same thing,
Yeah,
I guess,
pretty
right?
You guys didn't know this, but Brandy's just a little bit of a hacker. No big deal. The government may or may not be following her. I don't know.
But it is from Dirty Girl's Kitchen, and it's these 2 chicks, and I listened to their podcast, and I was like,
Does it mean that
shit.
they cook in a dirty environment? That doesn't sound sanitary.
No, they're pretty fucking crude.
Oh,
Like,
they're dirty mouths.
Are they like y'all, but
They're
for
us,
food?
but for food.
Exactly.
very
but
cool.
much dirtier.
Ah,
I mean,
all right.
Really?
Oh,
More dirty than us?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
And they
I gotta
have,
go
they have
listen
a
to it.
balancing act too. One's dirtier than the
Uh-huh.
other.
What do you mean?
Which one's more dirty with y'all?
Interesting.
I just go by smell.
Oh well,
Yeah.
I have 3 kids.
That's
man.
all.
Like, yeah, gotta get it where it can.
But
I'm a
very
shower.
good.
Yeah.
I recommend it, and they've been giving us some shout outs on social
Thanks,
media
Dirty
to their
Girls
followers.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Pretty cool, man.
Super cool.
Super cool.
I love it.
I've had Purple Rain in my head.
Purple rain, purple rain. You want to hear something
Keep
funny?
going, keep going, keep going.
I so
Keep
in the
it up.
mornings I blare the radio in the car with the kids. Like, let's just wake up, right? And I was listening to Prince Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I put it on my Instagram for 15 seconds. Like, Instagram shut me down.
What? It
They're
can't
like,
be
you don't have
longer.
rights to
Yeah,
this music.
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
Can be, supposedly you can play any music you want on Instagram, but it has to be under 15 seconds.
Oh,
That's a Derrick
But
thing.
it's weird
Derrick
though.
told me
It's
about
funny
that.
because I was singing along to it. It wasn't just like it was like me. It's mostly my voice,
Right.
And then like the radio in the background. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and then I was like, it was
weird.
weird because I got like this weird. I got like 3 notifications, and it was like you've done something, right? And I was like, what did I do? Did they shut down my Instagram? I'm like, what could I have possibly done?
You're like, for
Man.
that,
I said-
that's
That's
what you're shutting me
crazy.
down
That's what
for?
they shut me down. Yeah, and I was like, oh.
So did your
Somebody
did
must
your account
have-
come back up?
No, they didn't shut down my account. They
Oh,
just
just
took down
the
the
post.
post.
Oh, gotcha.
But I
Yeah.
was like, I wonder how, like, who's monitoring this? That like somebody's been like, I don't know. My
That's
hashtags
crazy.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hashtag Prince?
Probably.
That's probably what it
I
was.
probably did. Yeah.
That'd make it easy to find.
I was probably like
think.
hashtag licensing infringement.
hashtag AskCab, hashtag
yeah.
BMI. Yeah, they're
yeah.
gonna catch you that way.
I think it was just Prince. I think Prince
He's probably
reported you.
every day
Yeah.
he's looking through there to make sure. 'Cause
So
then
vain, so
That's
vain.
true because you know that I did it with Extreme for more than words, and it's still there.
Oh yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
They're going
Yeah.
for any
They
sort
like
of
it.
publicity.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're hoping
Yeah.
that somebody's still singing that song.
That's
yeah.
funny.
Oh, it's Derrick without shoes.
All right.
Hey.
What's up?
He's got black socks on, like he plays some basketball.
Oh, very
Nike socks.
fancy. Oh, that's like the embarrassing socks when you're gonna like have sex with a girl and then you've got
Oh,
those
and
socks
then you take
on.
them
Man,
off.
the
Yeah.
black socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like,
It's a
oh,
Yeah.
stark
And then she
contrast
goes,
to
"It's
his
okay.
skin.
I don't care. I don't care."
I don't care. I mean, what? Well, hopefully she is down by your feet. I'm just saying, like,
At some point.
yeah.
Yeah.
We did a very serious beer conversation. Now
We
it's time
did.
to get loose.
Yeah. We're gonna do a little beer and vinyl pairing.
Can you help us out with that?
I can try.
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
Talk to the
Okay.
mic. Talking
You have
to
to,
the mic.
you have to, yeah, you get in front of the microphone. Weird, but true.
He's like, no, you bring the microphone.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
All right.
stand over
I'm
here.
standing
You
here.
guys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn my back. I don't want to look at you while I'm talking.
All right. So, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I recently, well, first of all, was a huge Amy Winehouse fan in the first place, and then
Yeah.
I recently watched that very sad Amy
was gonna
Winehouse
ask if you
movie.
saw it.
Yeah.
which
I haven't
was
seen the movie yet.
I haven't
horribly
either.
heartbreaking.
I can only imagine. Well, we know how it
horribly
ends. So,
heartbreaking. Yeah. So the vinyl that I wanted to pair with was Back to Black because it's one of my favorite albums. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel bad because I always I would make jokes about Amy Winehouse. I was like, oh, I hope she never stops doing heroin because this album's so good. And then she died.
And then you felt really bad.
And then I
about
felt
that.
horrible because then
Yeah.
I watched the documentary and like, oh,
Man.
she just had nobody in her corner, that poor girl.
Poor girl.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to pick the
beer that would go well with Back
You
to
tell me
Black.
what you think. I have one that I think.
Like,
that
what
it
would go well with Rehab?
Maybe a beer she could put in her hair, hide it.
Yeah. I wonder if you're going to think of the
bitter?
same beer that I'm thinking of.
I was thinking of something a little bitter.
Okay, what do you think?
Yes.
Well, if it's
Bitter because she passed away, or bitter because
She's bitter.
she's
she was
she's a bitter person?
She didn't want to go to rehab.
Oh.
And
Paul's
now
calling
I
you.
have Paul yelling.
Yeah, okay. Tell us what yours is first, and then I'll
I
tell
was
mine.
thinking possibly silver and black, just because it's back to the
Oh,
black.
very back to black.
A little bitter.
I like that.
I like that.
I'm going to go more, I guess, literal with her name, Winehouse. And I would say Old 300 because Old 300 is a wine style sour beer that we have.
Very good.
So
Yes.
I like that.
I like
I think
that
those
too.
are both really
That's
good
perfect.
options for it. So.
Thank you, Derrick.
Thanks, Derrick.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Awesome.
So yeah, if you're playing that record, try and get one of those Branchline beers.
Yeah,
see how they
definitely.
pair together.
Actually drink the beer while you're watching the depressing Amy Winehouse movie and just cry.
man,
Just
have a good cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, then mine is very different.
Okay.
All right. So I even brought the album.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
So
Look at that.
The Violent Femmes
Yeah.
album.
Ooh.
So,
Let me take a look at some of the names.
okay, you know Blister in the Sun?
Oh yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
So-
a blister in the sun, let me go.
You got the first song of side one. Y'all have to sing "Kiss Off" now.
I don't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I just know Blister in the
I like
Sun.
that album.
It is a very good album.
That's the anthem of college for me.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
totally thought that, like, growing up, I always thought, like, this was a band in the 90s. Their artwork's very 90s.
Yeah,
it
They
looks
were
very
very
90s.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gone Daddy Gone is a great song.
Is it?
Yes. But, like, it's they're from the 80s.
Yeah.
And I never realized that.
82, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, nice. They go
1
back.
years old.
They go way back. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
I was 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Old bitch.
So you guys were still shitting in your pants. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Let's gauge it like
Jam
that.
to the Violent
Let's
Femmes.
gauge it like that.
You were probably shitting in your pants too.
Probably.
Come on.
Probably.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a little tougher one, I think.
I feel like it's a lot different vibe than Amy Winehouse. It's very upbeat.
Bright. It's bright.
This
Yeah.
album's very like, I'll throw on this album if maybe I have to like clean or get ready for a party or something. Like,
Get you in the mood, just like pumped up.
Yeah.
I'd say if we're looking for something that's like clean and vibrant, I would choose Visitor West Coast IPA.
That's what I'm thinking. And it's a little higher ABV. So
Yeah.
Get you ready for the
Nice.
party.
Oh,
Get you ready for the
yeah.
party for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Perfect.
I like
That's
that
awesome.
a lot. Well, good.
that.
I think that people should do that pairing.
Do it right now.
That'd be cool.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it right now. We'll wait.
Or
We'll
bring
wait.
it, or bring
We'll wait.
bring the records on Friday, and
Yeah,
you can do it here
do it
at
here.
Branchline.
That's
yeah.
right.
So tell
Yeah.
everybody what you do here on Fridays.
We do. It's called Brew Your Own Vinyl. It's from 4 to 9, and if you bring a record in, we'll play one side of that record that you can have while you enjoy the beer. It's really neat. We've got kind of a good crowd that started coming in. A lot of them don't even own record players, but they'll buy records, bring them in, and then leave them for us. And then
Nice.
next time they come in, we'll have that record for them to play again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty
That's
neat.
really
Very
cool.
wide variety of music
Yeah, it
right
is.
now, too.
Yeah, our bartender likes one style of music that's like very out there, and then the people that come in, they like
more mainstream.
different.
Yeah, yeah.
Or one likes
classical music.
Classical
Brings in
music.
a lot of
Oh,
classical.
really?
A lot of Mozart and Bach.
Yeah. So we have kind of a wide range of different
Interesting.
things. So when you come in, you don't have to just expect like classic rock or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. It could be
Our playlist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be all kinds of different things, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
That's very cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I always saw Brew Your Own Vinyl, and I thought that we were like throwing them into the tanks or something.
We might
just to
one
see,
day.
like,
We
how
might
they
one day.
taste, yeah.
Yeah. Just take them by some
Nice
like
rubbery
chips,
aroma.
like big
Yeah.
chips. Yeah.
Yum.
I can dig it. I can dig it. I'm gonna bring. I do have. We're collecting slowly for our vinyl, but the most fun is actually shopping for vinyl.
Oh yeah.
I love it,
Hog
yeah.
Wild is like, I love that place.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah,
It's
they have
really
like
nice
that dollar
books.
bin.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I'm all
Hot
over
Price is
that.
cool too for like used stuff.
Occasionally,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I find like that's never. It's always a little messed up.
Yeah.
No, that's
The ones
why
that I've got.
a lot of them are.
Oh,
like,
the
warped a
actual
little
bit.
records.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hog Wild has a pretty
Hog
good
Wild's
selection.
like they have good, and I bought like a fucking George Michael album for like $1 there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Oh,
shit stuff
nice.
there.
Yeah.
It's Flipside Records.
That's still
Oh,
open?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's a new
Now
one
it's
that
still
just
open.
opened.
Southtown
Southtown, yeah,
Vinyl, I think it's called.
Oh,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
open, yeah.
Haven't been there yet.
I haven't either.
Well,
yeah.
we're so fucking hipster.
Oh, I know.
It's
Man.
awesome.
Yeah.
Derrick's gonna put his
My
hair in a bun.
original vinyl was that little
The plastic,
the little
real hard
plastic
plastic
one. Yeah,
yeah, with the groove.
Fisher Price.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the original vinyl. That's the real vinyl.
That's the real vinyl.
That's the real plastic vinyl.
They were like pink and light green.
Yeah.
My Baba Black Sheep. All that good stuff.
I would just pretend I was having a cocktail party.
Put it
Mad
on.
Men in my bedroom.
Yeah. Play it backwards.
What are they saying?
Yeah.
What is Big Bird saying? I don't know.
Have you ever thought about brewing a root beer?
Paul's done a couple different things. He's done like an orange soda one. And I think he did
cinnamon, vanilla.
Yeah, it was kind of like a root beer.
Ah.
Yeah, that one was really good.
We tried to do a manger.
Yeah, that didn't come out very
It feels like that root beer trend is really riding high right now.
Yeah, I think it is a trend though.
No, I think
it's
not alcoholic.
Just like a root beer in general.
Oh, just like a root beer.
Yeah.
St. Arnold has one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really good.
The
Granary here in San Antonio
yeah.
has a really good one too.
Yeah.
But my kids didn't really like that one because it has a lot of is it sarsaparilla?
Sarsaparilla in
Spicy.
it.
Yeah.
Super, super prevalent. I liked it, but then they were just like, oh, no.
It wasn't like a sweet.
Yeah,
Like
they like sweeter root beer.
Yeah.
They wanted to like feel the crack cocaine coming from the glass.
Just like straight to the veins.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, it was kind of something we wanted to do when we started, but we just have never done it. Really,
Yeah.
we did it. I think for our first anniversary, just to offer something for kids that
cool.
came. And then we haven't done it since that time. So, but we'll look into it.
My
Kinda
favorite root beer of all time is Shiloh's on the river. Have you ever been there? It's like a
No.
little German deli.
No.
They make their own root beer there. It's so good.
How cool.
That's
Yeah,
neat.
on the Riverwalk.
Oh, well, that's so special,
Yeah.
Catherine.
I know. It's like 180 years old, that place.
So
Maybe they'll send you a
special.
box
This-
of root beer. or
Shout out
something.
Shiloh's
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
can still hear, because I know
Yeah.
you're probably on hearing aids now.
Yeah, we'll give them.
You just lost it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
They're like,
That's how everything works. My boyfriend's like, "You're so sweet." Oh shit, I forgot who you are.
Yeah. Never mind. Well, thank you guys today for having us again. We learned so much once again.
It was amazing and awesome.
I definitely
you
feel
guys
like
for
we
coming.
cram for a test every time.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
a lot of
amazing.
information, I think, but I feel like the first one you guys retained a ton of it. So
Yeah.
it's good. I think it's working.
It's been fun.
It's working.
It's working.
Whoa. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Master Cicerones before you know it.
Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe to us on iTunes. You can also find us on shescraftypodcast.com. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on Tasty Podcast. You can find us in any of your favorite podcast apps.
That's right.
Just add us on there. And you can also go to our website and you can buy some merch there.
On shescraftypodcast.com. You can go to Twitter and Instagram at She's Crafty Pod. Find us on Facebook at She's Crafty Podcast, and find us on Google Plus.
Is that a thing still?
I guess I keep plugging it.
Yeah.
I keep plugging
Yeah.
it, but I feel like I'm not giving it the attention that it really needs.
There you go.
Like, that's what
Google
it is.
loves it.
Google
loves it.
Yeah, Google loves it.
Loves the shit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just some guy sitting in a Google pod.
He's just like he's monitoring the 3 posts on Google Plus right now. Yeah.
They're just like, can we get rid of Frank? Oh,
Yeah.
he's over
Although
Google
I'm really
Plus.
upset because I
Yeah.
feel like everybody I talk to, they're like, Google Plus is really big for us. We have 1,500 followers on Google Plus.
What the
Really?
What are you doing on Google Plus?
I know.
Are they all dick pics? What are you putting up there?
That's probably what it is.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I feel like we need a sign flipper for our Google Plus account.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah.
Like just follow them.
that'll draw.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely draw.
Everybody's just like, what the fuck is Google Plus?
Yeah.
Google Plus. I can't read it. Keep it still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you're on Facebook, go to our She's Crafty Beer Nuts page, join our page, and you can get in on the beer discussion.
All right. Well, I had a good time.
I had a great time.
Let's all wave to Paul. Hi, Paul.
He's on his phone.
Oh.
I thought he's done.
Yeah.
He
He's done.
looks like a small witch with a cauldron, kind of like.
A small
A
witch.
small witch. He'll like that.
What? I think it's because when you're up on a stool, anybody looks
Yeah.
small. Yeah.
Stool
funny.
too.
That's awesome.
Like a small witch on a stool.
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I like
Yeah.
that. Perfect.
All right. Well, peace out, beer nuts.
Peace out, beer nuts. Next time. Bye.
Shut up and sit down.